Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue unpacking some Chinese idioms that we use in our everyday language. They may not be time-honored like the regular four-character formations, but they are contemporary. They are a lot of times funny, and so they have this extra, I guess, extra proportion to go longer on the life's journey of an expression. So we can all subscribe to such expression as a language user to quote it, and when we quote it, because it's a set phrase, it's an idiom, so we have to say it the exact same way. And a lot of times the formation has the short story telling. In this case, 门缝里看人. These 5 characters tell you a story of what's happening. You're seeing somebody through the cracks between the 2 door panels. So that's 门缝里看人. And then the moral of the story is 把人看扁. Because you're seeing somebody from this narrow frame, actually between the gaps between 2 panel doors, then you tend to see that person in a flat form. 把人看扁, 看扁. This is 扁. We have another expression called 贬低. So you're belittling somebody. You are not giving somebody full credit by flattening them. I mean, that's true for most of us, right? Therefore, in English, we have this first impression thing. Like you only have a short window span. Temporally, you only have a snapshot of somebody, and you make a quick judgment about somebody, right? And in Chinese, we use the spatial sense. We frame a person between the gaps of the 2 door panels. So instead of a short time span, we use a short spatial span, a narrow frame, and then you see somebody from that narrow window, right? And the tendency is you're going to see a flat figure. You only see 1 or 2 features you're captured in a short window span, and then you tend to belittle that person. You tend to not see the full value of that person. I guess this is a universal phenomenon. So Chinese put it in the set phrase, 把人看扁, is the result. So I don't hear this expression that often, because Chinese as a culture, at least the contemporary version of what I was born into, is highly hierarchical. Highly hierarchical from the ancient times, the dynasties, right? The emperors, and then the whole apparatus of the government back then versus the everyday people. There is this hierarchical structure of like a pyramid, right? Pointing to the tip, just one man, very occasionally one woman ruling the whole land. So that's the ancient structure. In contemporary structure, is the Communist Party. They are the one only party in China. And the whole hierarchical structure is similar to that way. So Chinese is highly hierarchical. And you basically get your value, your social value, so to speak, pinned down. Like you're classified into a stratification of the society, pin down everybody into a level already. Like, so this expression of 把人看扁, you're seeing somebody flat. Like that's a common social construct. Like we just tend to pin down anybody into it's basically at their social ladder, where you are, and then that's it. We don't even bother to learn more about that person. And the commoners, the everyday people, like mutually treat each other as such that this 把人看扁, this expression, I don't hear that often because people don't call out this misjudgment of another person. Like you're seeing somebody flat, you don't see the full virtues or many facets of this person. You're only pinning them down on the social ladder, like a really flat way of seeing anybody. And that's my take on a little bit of social commentary. And that's how I felt in China. That's why I escape here so that I can be a fuller me. I'm not just pinned down one dimensional. Okay, 门缝里看人，把人看扁. And you can see it's repeated 人, and we're talking about see that person. You can see I translate. One is see, one is seen, right? I have to kind of convert to English in a little bit grammatically understandable way. Is it understandable way? But in Chinese, there's no such grammatical transformation. It's still the same character. 看人 means you're looking at, you're checking out somebody, you're assessing somebody. You see them visually and then you assess them, right, mentally, like computing automatically over there. So you see person, right, and then 把人看扁 is how you see them, and this how is this 把 and 看. This is the structure to create the result of that seeing. 把人看扁 is the act of seeing that you it's like a see person, but then you have this person being seen. You almost like repeat the same action, but twist from this you as a viewer of that person. And then the second 把人看扁 is like the act of seeing now is done, right? It's finished. And then you have your conclusion drawn. And this 把人看扁 is the emphasizing the result or the act, like the execution of that is already done. And therefore there is this 把. This is make it onto somebody. So you're kind of projecting your own judgment onto somebody, right? So this 把, you can view it as projection. And the projection, the conclusion of your projection will be you have this flat view of somebody. Okay, one by one. 门 in traditional Chinese, there's a distinction between 门 and 户. 户 is written like this. I may not write it in the same way as correctly, but visually it looks like that. That's one panel door. And the 门 is like two panel door. So traditional Chinese panel doors would look like this. Like this would be the panel door. My explanation is at your eye level, the top portion of the panel of the door are going to be the highly decorated, because that's kind of the first sign you see a household. You see their door, right? That's their face value, like planted onto or projected onto the door frame. And so not the frame, but the panels of the door. So sometimes Chinese decorate the upper portion of the door frame so that you see elaborate carved out wooden structures on the door frame. And this is kind of representing more intricate patterns on the eye level portion of the door frame, versus the bottom, it just serves the function of opening the door, close the door, right? So this is one panel, and this 门 is this two panel door. So it's a kind of symmetrical thing, kind of look like this, and then have this hinge portion. So that's Chinese door. And because we have to use 门, because this two panel door supposedly have this gap in between, right? This invisible gap in between. And we actually have this gap concept that's made of between the panel door, the moonlight shines through. So for you to detect there is actually a gap between the two panel doors is when it's a moonlit moment that you can see a sliver of moonlight through the gap of the door. That's how you can detect the gapping between the doors. So Chinese create this gapping concept from the two door panels. And I refer that to this this expression here. 门缝 is actually not about the doors open already that you see between a door frame, a person. Here, you're really doing this peek-a-pole thing, you're seeing from the gaps between the closed door. This firm means this crack between the two doors. And you're kind of peeking from that gap, very narrow space. From that position, you're looking at somebody. So of course, it's not like definitely you're hiding behind the door, so it's a person. So the first thing is you're not interacting with that person. So you're only in a hidden place trying to look at somebody through that narrow space. And you may not even capture a full image of that person. You only see a tiny portion of that person. And therefore, the conclusion was drawn by you by that first impression through the door gap would likely to be it's very flat. Bian means spatially, it's like a sheet paper kind of very narrow, thin sheet form. And this bian have this, okay, have this door frame. You see, this is the door frame. And this bian came from this concept of this door frame from the side views. The door frame is, the door panels is narrow in comparison to front. So door is one of the human-made things that have this unique feature of on the front side, it has to cover, right? But when it turns to the sideways, it's very narrow. So there is this narrowness that comes from this door panel. And the bottom is kind of showing you the framework of this panel thing to give you the sense of flat. The flatness is made of this two-dimensional thing. The door frame is two-dimensional, right? But if you look at its narrowest dimension, that gives you the sense of flat, almost like a diminish from the 3D thing to a 2D thing, right? And now look at just one line, it's almost like 1D thing. So that's the sense of flat created from the door panel. So the result of seeing somebody only through the crack between two door panels is to see that person flat, and flat in the sense of the door panel, right? So this, I translate in English as misjudge, like we are misjudging. I mean, we're misjudging people all the time, right? If you only have a snapshot of somebody, just glimpse of somebody, even through that door crack, then very likely you're getting the wrong impressions. And this is a tendency universal. And I'm here showing a frame, and now it's no longer a door crack looking, because it's hard to find a picture of there, but I want to show you it's a narrow space through this mirror image. It's a reflection. It's not a first-hand direct view, right? And it's through this narrow frame, and you only see a snapshot of the person emotion. And of course, this is a post motion to show you a certain aspect of the person. So it's angled, and it's also a short window. Spatial wise or temporal wise, it's very, well, in the terms of statistics, it's a tiny little bit of sampling of that person. It's a small sample. And how can you extrapolate this, whatever message you get from that small sample, to the full person? So that gap of information is what creates this misjudgment. And that's what this Chinese expressions is trying to warn people here. Like, don't just look at me through this door crack. I'm much, much fuller. I have much, much more value to offer than when you're pinning me down, pigeonhole me into a certain social ladder, right? You're seeing me in a flat way. And I mean, people don't use that in everyday language that much because this is so prevalent thing. So we don't really see it, but occasionally this call out of this misjudging happening between interpersonal thing. And that's 门缝里看人，把人看扁。All right, thank you for your time. See you next time.